Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 48th episode of ICC BiZ Live, our knowledge discourse with C-suite professionals. Today we have Professor Sandeep Mann from Institute for Competitiveness, India. He's on the advisory board there, and you are all of you are who are watching this episode are from industry. I understand. So have you ever wondered how competitive you are vis-a-vis your others? So let's hear it from the expert. I hand over the mic to Professor Mann. So, sir, begin with, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us what drew you to the subject of competitiveness?
So it's a delight to be here, Dr. Ghosh. And competitiveness is a very significant concept given by Michael Porter. And in fact, I was doing some research. This is a podcast. And podcast is a portmanteau, which means a combination of two words like brunch or motel or bromance or brangelina in that particular sense. And port means to carry. So Michael Porter, the professor at Harvard University and Harvard Business School, he gave the concept of competitiveness in 90s. We have an institute for competitiveness at Gurgaon, which is the central knot of a lot of competitiveness institutes across the world. And we have been doing great work in that domain and trying to help India come to the next level. And in fact, I was looking at this nice book. This is about $10 trillion economy dream about India. So that's the basic idea in this. And as an alumnus of Punjab University MBA UBS, I'm proud alumnus of that. And Pantnagar University, I'm an electronics engineer. I happen to be a lawyer from Rajasthan University. And I'm one of the founders of Institute of Competitiveness with Dr. Amit Kapoor. We have been doing a lot of publications with Niti Aayog, trying to help India sculpt the 100-year goals for 2047. I have dedicated my life to just one single principle, that human potential is infinite, and any which way if that can be realized at individual level, at small organization level, at community level, that'll be wonderful. So today we'll be probably talking about business entities, MSMEs, and professionals. Yes?
Thank you, sir. Our today's topic is microeconomics of competitiveness. So, can you please explain what this topic means? And I am a doctorate in economics. There is macroeconomics. Now, competitiveness of my how microeconomics are competitive. You please explain. I will not give my views. You please explain. You are the expert.
So good to know you're a doctorate in economics. And economy we understand has two dimensions: microeconomics, which is firms based, and macroeconomics, which is larger, greater kind of things like GDP, etc. So Professor Michael Porter started with the thesis that any area, any nation, any country, what do we want? We want happiness. And how does happiness come in? It comes out of prosperity. And prosperity comes out of productivity, wherein you generate more output through limited inputs, through your innovation, through your entrepreneurship, and combination of a lot of factors. He gave pieces like five forces model, the value chain analysis, what is strategy concept of his, and the diamond model, which is about the whole country or a region in that sense. He talked about clusters. So the whole idea is, in any area, let's say we take Italy or Norway or Singapore, or take some place like India. So natural resources may not be abundant. You may have to create resources through your innovation or insights. Switzerland doesn't have natural resources. Singapore doesn't have. Italy, the same thing which they present to the world market is much more priced and higher in quality in that particular sense. So this value generation, value addition to anything, that value multiplication, if it begins to happen in a particular level, then that is competitiveness. And this productivity, this ranking of areas is what is known as competitiveness. So the central idea is the firms which are studied in microeconomics actually they make a region or a country competitive. How? They would make world class products which would sell to global markets. Because of that, their revenues would be higher. They would make products which are on the pricier side, costlier side, maybe, or which have innovation, which are contemporary, which really satisfy needs of the customers. And so the salaries of the employees would be higher, and the region would have people or whatever markets they're catering to. They would have people who will be able to afford these products, even if they're costly, say a Ferrari or a costly BMW or Lamborghini in that particular sense. So the firms, when they are excelling, when they have higher productivity, whether they are large firms or small firms or mid cap firms, then the region is going to be competitive. And this aggregation of the effort of the firms is what makes a country spectacular or have splendor in all its walks. India wants to be a Vishwaguru, so the pathway is competitiveness. I hope the concept is explained.
Yes, yes, sir. So understood. So basically, my question is, what idea I'm getting from you? A firm has to gain market share to gain market share to become prosperous, and for that they have to be competitive. Now, if I look at it, if I'm the CEO of the firm, I, according from the earlier knowledge we had exchanged, there are some micro factors I have to consider, and there are some macro factors I have to consider. So, can you explain what should be the outlook of the CEO or the board? What micro factors they should consider, and what macro factors they should consider?
Right. So I would say have stars in your eyes. Why not think of being a global MNC? Why not think of being in the Fortune 500 down the line, even if today you're not there? And in that sense, be willing to look at every aspect of business in a very structured way, very deep analysis way, and apply your best of creativity and business acumen to plug in these various modules of business or functions of business or elements of business, say factor conditions, the governance things, the kind of customers you have, kind of vendors you have, interplay all of this diamond and five forces in such a way that the productivity is going to be higher. And in this, your job is to create an competitive advantage which is sustainable. So you don't have to just look at today. I was talking to a senior mentor of mine, and he said Indian businesses are very transactional. Owners may be making, say, millions or crores. The staff is not making that kind of money. And uh, the people are also like daily wagers. They don't think what kind of changes are going to happen at a micro level or macro level 3 years down or 10 years down. That strategic vision is missing in a particular sense. So I would say the starting point is the CEO starts with productivity at his level or her level. Then the white collar productivity has to be high. Then the blue collar worker or agrarian farmers or whichever level you're looking at, their productivity has to be there. So when the productivity of everyone is at that particular level on a high, and it can be benchmarked with the global best. For instance, uh, a Netherlands software coder probably gets paid 4 times what an average Indian coder gets paid. With AI, things are changing. So I think we also need to begin questioning everything. For instance, uh, I'll not name the firms, but any firm which is doing labor arbitrage, which is bringing in work here on outsourcing model. Why? Because in US probably you need to pay 20, $25 an hour. And in India, you don't need to pay that much at all. You can hire 4, 5 people for that kind of a cost or salary. This is not business. This is just like trading or a low cost kind of intervention. That is why when you look at the global software business, for instance, India has just 2, 3% of that. The value addition, when you look at one of the average software companies in India, that's about $30,000 per employee. When you look at one of the leading firms in India, that'll be maybe 38,000 or $40,000 an employee. The same number for Adobe is something like $3.5 lakh per employee. The same number for Microsoft would be $6,40,000 an employee. So see, the productivity at all levels has to be there. So if the CEO is willing to have a mindset that yes, I have to, or we have to, the founders or the board members, we have to really prove to the world that we have world class products. Market share is no issue, and we have our own definition, our own differentiation. Then that's a starting point, I think.
Mike, please. I would like to share an old experience of mine. A meeting. I had seen a very senior industrialist. He's no more. He had
Mhm.
seen the advice at that time. The startups and unicorns were not so big. He had somebody about to start a business had gone to seek his advice. He had said, you have a look that your cash inflow is higher than your cash outflow. Do not burn cash. That is should be a starting point. ROI can be looked upon at a later point. I found this valuable advice, and even nowadays, not many startups follow this. But from you, I'm getting another very deep insight. Productivity is the key to affordability. Unless you are affordable, whether it is a good or a service, you cannot gain market share, cannot be competitive. But for that, first of all, it has to be productivity. But what I'll come more on other questions. What leads to this productivity? Next, this insight I've gained from you. Just you tell me, have I understood you correctly?
Absolutely, you're not right on that sense. See, one life we get, and whatever we do out of this is in our hand. That is also productivity in a way, if you look at that sense. Now, we say the mindset, the approach is in what kind and what manner are we trying to do things. For instance, any MSME, for instance, you can ask the owner anything and everything would be top of the mind. But can you ask the system? Does he have an awareness of the system in that particular sense that what can happen? So when you become an MNC or you're a productive firm in that sense, from the same resources you generate much more. For instance, uh, India exports a lot of iron ore to Japan at a raw level, basic raw level costing, right? Japan makes more than 50, 60 steels out of that and sells back to India. And probably in the whole equation, Japan makes much more money than we do, right? A leather bag of any Italian firm, let's not take the names, would sell at what not. A perfume of France would sell at what not kind of a price. And the same raw material in that bottle, whatever liquid is there, it wouldn't have gone through process checks. It wouldn't have that kind of packaging and branding. So probably what is selling in Europe for maybe 100 euros or even 500 euros. In India, they'll sell for maybe 500 rupees or 1,000 bucks or even 100 bucks in that sense. So I think this is where the value thing is going to come in. Now, this also needs a mindset change. One is whatever is your enterprise, you are the owner of it. At a personal level, as an individual, or at an organizational level, you are professionally engaged, you're selling your time to somebody. Uh, are you taking ownership of whatever expertise you're giving to the company? For instance, when we take meetings, in India, typically what happens is everyone knows everything and everyone speaks on that issue as if he or she is an expert on that. But finally, minutes are not recorded. People don't come prepared to the meeting. There is no ownership or accountability in that sense. These days, a lot of word about accountability is happening in news. We know that. So That ownership is not there. Because of that, down the line, if something wrong happens, uh, nobody to blame or nobody to find out that, see, this is what you said, what can be done further about it. So it's everyone doing everything together. That really doesn't make systems. And the same kind of people who abroad or go through US education, for instance, they're able to lead the MNCs, global MNCs, Fortune 500 companies, and we take a lot of pride in that. Definitely, that's great. But then the same kind of systems have to happen in our companies here, and probably that is not happening.
Sir, I have worked in Indian companies as well as MNCs. And
Okay.
you see, in an MNC, at the end of the day, everyone looks at what has been my contribution today. This mindset is not there. What you are saying absolutely on dot. In Indian companies, this mindset is not there. I entered at 10, I'm leaving at 6. That's it. Anyhow, anyhow, now carrying on this point, at the level of an individual company, what actually creates competitive advantage in your opinion? Is it cost, value, what?
See, fundamentally, we have all come through biological evolution, right? Species, Homo sapiens is 4 lakh years old in that sense. Now, down the line, some people have learned to gang up or work like a team, wherein an individual's limitations are overcome. This is where probably we have gone wrong in many cases. Wherever we are going good because the people have understood that this is not the way. We are a team, we have to do many things together. Now, this has many shades in this. For instance, uh, I don't have clear policies. So, whenever a situation happens in my organization, only I can decide, and my appointed staff cannot. I cannot have meaningful delegation. So, everything comes on my desk. My bandwidth is choked. I look after every issue. All my people, vice president or whatever, or CEOs also can't do much. They might be paid 75 lakhs, 2 crores, or whatever, but they can't do much. Again, if I'm a large organization, I tend to play pally with the policymakers and take an advantage to that. So I create barriers so that really competitive organizations don't come in. So we have 4 5 people in any industry, and we see that nobody else comes in, and stagnation happens. In the list of super rich, our names are there, and our people are not like that. We don't value people at all. Then again, uh, we tend to be very intuitive. We're talking about portmanteau, right? So the word is Western. So if you look carefully, there is a word Eastern hidden in Western. Orientals, that is the east part, India, Japan, etc., they are intuitive to a large extent. And Occidentals, the West people, they are more process driven. So when you have a framework, when you have a process of doing something, then it's easy to communicate and rationalize and take the discussion to the next level. If it is going to flow hanky panky, helter skelter in whatever sense, and randomize it is going to happen, then nothing convergent is going to happen. No real evolution of gem of ideas is going to happen. So, for instance, we can use Michael Porter's frameworks or a very simple framework like 4C. 4C means customers, competition, context, and company. Now, my factors within the company are in my control. The customer is not in my control. So, as a CEO or my top team, are we trying to see how the customer is changing, evolving? Today, we are doing business somewhere or other, fine. How would the customer be 3 years down, or 15 years down, or 10 years down? Is somebody having that view at all? Sense of politics, is my voter evolving? Am I coping up in that particular sense? Am I proactively getting ready for that scenario, or am I just reactive or responsive when the situation arrives? So that could be the thing. How is my competition creating new benchmarks? Am I facing up in that sense, or am I just reactive? Am I setting the benchmarks for the next one? For instance, a government which is in power, is it setting new benchmarks rather than comparing with earlier governments? It will always compare with earlier governments, but there is an appetite in the country for the next level. So MNCs will happen when the MSMEs think of becoming global. If they think that we have to stay small, we have to manage the cash, the working capital, and somehow survive this quarter, manage the taxes, etc., then they'll never be becoming large. So, from a design point of view, at the policy level, also, I think our firms don't have that global aspiration at all. So that could be a particular challenge. So it's a mindset thing. Our entire education system could be uh, the thing. The policymakers, the MSME bill has come in, is giving beautiful things like uh, the delayed payments could be managed, and is giving trades. It's not really solving the credit liquidity issue access in that particular sense. But then, is it also empowering the MNCs to think global, to go for technology in a big sense, to move away from the family owned small kind of setup to a large organized setup across the world, divisions, etc.? So, probably that is the line or the river that needs to be crossed.
Yes. Is there any? I mean, somehow your answers make me uneasy. I mean, you are absolutely truthful. Uh, on dot. What shall I say? I mean, is there any mental block you're talking about in Indian industry, in a particular in MSME to grow, or this?
I believe, see, we talk of Purn Swaraj, right? Gandhiji talked of that, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak also talked of that, I think. Uh, full freedom in a political sense, not alone politically, but socially, economically, spiritually, in every sense. And Buddha quite early said that become independent of the books, learn from them, but also follow your experience and make that experience your own. So at IIM Ahmedabad, they talk of this triple CF, conceptual clarity and contextual familiarity. So the concepts have to be clear, the theory is important, but the context has to be read, and then a hybrid solution has to be found in. And a solution making mindset has to be there. So we could say that the mental blocks are there. Senior generations were risk averse, new generations are very different. They are very flippant. They can question authority in that sense. So I would say I was talking about the Eastern in that sense, and Trinity is used. So I would like to talk of the Trinity. So Vishnu is doing what? Generator. God is generator, observer, and destroyer, right? So Vishnu is creating the system and maintaining things. That's great, wonderful. Now Shiva is the auditor. He's trying to criticize and evaluate. It's like a CJP trying to ask the government that, see, what are you doing? And that's fine. Now you also need a Brahma, which is creating new solutions. Now, these new solutions have to come out of CJP or the youth, or come out of existing government, or come out of opposition, or all of us together, because the country is ours. I was watching the serial Governor, about the RBI governor, early 90s, the crisis India had about having too much, too little of cash, working capital in forex reserves, just 1.2 billion or dollar or something like that, and how they solved that crisis. So the solution also has to be found out. So I think, if you look at US, for instance, the Rockefellers and Andrew Carnegie, etc., they built business. They were feudal, and they're still feudal, and they made something great. There were protests. They somehow managed them politically. Now the young kids on the block, like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, came in. They are the Brahma. They created new solutions and moved away from that. Similarly, in Hollywood, you'll find that. Similarly, in music, you'll find that. Naushad was a good music director. You have a new kind of a music director today. Somebody was Guru Dutt was a great kind of a movie director. You have a new kind of a Anurag Basu or something like that today. You have Arijit who is singing. So the new school of thought also comes in, which is better, different in whichever sense. So I think this triangle has to be managed, wherein the observers maintain continuity. They don't bring too much of disruption. They bring stability to the things, which is essential, and that gives comfort. But the auditors, the Shiva, they are not necessarily destroyer, they are auditing. And they are having constructive criticism in that sense. And the Brahma, the new creativity has to happen. So in that sense, the US has more nerds than say India has. We have few responsible rich people and few nerd people. I'll talk about that later if you say so. I'll explain that concept of mind. Uh, but it's like governance wise, for instance, Australia, you don't have exceptional people. But in Commonwealth Games, their medal tally is so high because being ordinary people, they have fit in and they are bringing that kind of return. Whereas India is too much of hero worship in that sense. So you have Ram, all the rishis with your name is also Raj Rishi in that sense, and I have full respect for them, on the knowledge for people or knowledge creators. All the rishis, they're not able to counter the demons. Why? Why do they need a Ram for that? And if Ram is a hero, fine. And where is the succession planning by Ram in that? Then a Dhobi, who is like, say, Cockroach Janta Party in that sense, questions Ram. But where is the substitute of, say, continuity of operations? You have Krishna as a hero. What about the other people? In movies, you have, say, I like to watch a lot of movies. So Sunny Deol has that 2.5 kg fist. The villain in the movies, the common people are not able to counter. Why? Common people in Norway are able to counter. The NEP we have is not as dynamic. Why is it not as dynamic? You have the opportunity, you have all the numbers, you don't need two-thirds of constitution to bring any change on that. But why are you doing something cosmetic or superficial? I think questions need to be asked. We need to ask questions from Tata's, the Infosys, and everybody else, that are we just doing trading? Why are we not doing something great? I recall when I was doing my MBA about 10 years later about that, after that, I read somewhere that in the year 2000, the annual profit of General Motors was equal to the asset base of Tata's. uh, Tata's and General Motors both started around the same time. Their leaderships went all over. They were educated abroad, etc. Now Tata's is great for us, and I value them. Infosys is great for us, but as a while back I was talking in the software whole world's pie, we are not there. Why? We need that appetite, and the youth now have that appetite. The country is looking for suddenly jumping. It doesn't want incremental kind of things. Now, if you look at, say, Norway, in Norway, a child who is 7 years, he goes to school, not early, uh, no homework. The best innovators coming out of Norway or Scandinavian countries. The every hour, 45 minutes of class, 15 minutes of outdoor. Norway is a bloody cold place and dark. About 7, 8 months is very dark, no day in that sense. And the people out there say your clothing can be bad, weather is never bad. You wear the good clothes and go out in the wind or the cold and get that outdoorsy experience. This is where I think Scandinavian countries or governance countries are trying to come up with high productivity. It's a culture, it's a mindset. In Japan, they say the school children are taught to clean toilets. Gandhiji started with that. Somewhere down the line, that stopped, as if that's a status thing or wrong thing. Many years back, we had some people in our country who used to carry that potty or shit on their head, which was so inhuman. And laws were brought in to stop that. And now people clean their uh, pots themselves. But nevertheless, that respect, that dignity is not coming. Our youth are compelled to go to Middle East or Canada or Australia, become taxi drivers, plumbers, fruit pickers, because out there the salaries are much more, the earning is much more. And more important than the earning is dignity. Out here, we are not giving dignity to people. So I think a lot of social mindset issues are there at play. So when you talk of mental block, I think the competitiveness is a beautiful thing in the sense it is an interplay of economics, sociology, technology, psychology, governance, laws. So many dimensions are interplayed in this. So I think a mental block is there, and the sooner we can get out of that, the better, because the world is not waiting. As we are moving 5-10% ahead, they are moving maybe 2-3% ahead, but they have a large base. US is a something like maybe 20 trillion kind of an economy. We have 3-4 trillion kind. So if US does 2%, it's still surging ahead of us. So we'll not be able to do the catch up game at all. So I think mental block has to be done away with. My thoughts.
Teaching management. So all along you are teaching management to us. So let's go on to some other topic.
Yeah.
My but before that you brought up US, I'm sharing this just one data that the Indian startup survival rate is 20%. For startups in US, the survival rate is just double, 40%. I'm not asking you. My question is is competitiveness fundamentally about efficiency and cost management, or is it about innovation, uniqueness, and ability to create customer value?
So textbookish or research documentation is all what you said in that sense. But I feel India needs a cultural kind of revitalization or renaissance in that sense. Europe underwent that. We also need to do that. We are culturally very deep, rich kind of background. But Aryabhat made something. What is a current scientist or mathematician doing? So ISRO people are doing great job. DRDO people are doing great job. Private sector corporate, what are they doing? Are they patenting new things? IITs, are they really creating new patents? The IIMs, I think questions need to be asked. What kind of great work or great agencies are they creating? So in that sense, the mindset thing is definitely there. Uh, I think it starts with self-esteem as a first thing. If you don't have a self esteem, you'll always be bullied or under pressure of somebody. You look for validations. We judge people too much. In US, in a meeting, in a professional setup, there's a Poland person, Polish, or a Czech, or an Irish, and he or she is an expert in the domain. And that expertise is what is the claim of that person in that particular organization. Or in India, we judge on English, communication, personality, look and feel. I've seen recruitments wherein if you don't see the candidate, you're not able to select. Whereas in case of US clients, I've seen they can take a telephonic interview without a video call at a role of something like, say, 1.5 crores or something. So that's the analytic kind of a thing. The impression we form. My heart also goes to the sad part of this in the sense uh, wherever you see in advertisement, you find chocolatey kind of people, find nice looking kind of girls and ladies in that sense. Have you looked at any common person on the street? His face is ragged and scratched. The typical woman who is poor in India, she is already a zero size model. She has just bones and very basic survival. What to talk of dignity and self esteem? And anybody can snuff off or disregard. She has an opinion, she has a heart, she has feelings. Nobody's listening to that. Uh, Politicians also try to use these voters and give them freebies as if like doling out addiction kind of a thing or what. So I think self esteem has to be brought in. And the rich people, the experts, the literate also need that kind of a self esteem. Uh, uh, I was watching a Pakistan serial the other day. They make some very nice serials in which in Hindi says that if a businessman is not educated, he's a kabadia. That is, he's a scrap dealer. So in US, a CEO would go to 20 conferences hunting for an idea which could give him $200 million flip or $1 billion flip. In India, we'll go to conferences or either disregard, not read at all. There's so many nice books on airports, bookshelves, etc., and nobody buys books. People spend money in the duty-free shop. People spend money on the food spa. Uh, there's zero understanding or uh, need or acknowledgement or appreciation for learning in that sense. We don't use frameworks. Potter's change model is a very simple 8-step model. If you apply it, you can bring any time change in the world. You can bring coalitions, you bring quick wins, you formulate a vision, you communicate the vision, you lock in so that you don't slip back. And it's a very simple method so that any change in a country, organization can be brought in. Uh, we just move hand random. We don't believe in white papers. Many years back, I think few days back, there was a hydrogen train coming in. Uh, Appreciate India is moving ahead. Wonderful. Why not have a white paper on that so that everybody could go through that? In news, why do you try to slant the news? Are people dumb? They're smart enough to interpret. You present the facts, they'll understand themselves. Let them take a call. And why do you want to say that this ideology or that ideology alone is right? India is a pluralistic country. We had six schools of thought and philosophy. All have survived. There are various kinds of bhakti movements, and everything is okay in that sense. So diversity is the mother of innovation in that sense. You're talking about innovation and cost control. So I think if we bring this deep kind of strength at our core, everyone is regarded, valued. That's wonderful. I recall that few years back, I was at Hyderabad, and when I came out of my office, there was a truck driver, municipality truck, and this guy, he stopped his truck, kept the engine running. He took out a rock or a big stone out of his truck and put it on the front of the front tire, the right left tire. Then he drove the truck up so that part of the wheel was on the stone, and then he switched off the engine. So I was intrigued. I asked him, and he seemed to be a seventh, eighth school dropout kind of a boy person, maybe 40 years old. I asked him, "What are you doing?" He laughed and said that the truck has start problems. So when uh, the job is done, it had to be a 2 hour job or something, and the engine was switched off. He saved diesel. And he said, when the job is done, I'll get in the truck and release the handbrake, the brake, and the truck will roll out of the wheel and it'll gather a momentum and it'll automatically start. Innovation. What a beautiful hack within the resources. Professor Anil Gupta, I think, of IIM Ahmedabad has 60,000 documented hacks. The country doesn't know them. The country doesn't believe in that. Uh, I think some kind of a churn, some kind of questioning, if that can be this talk can be an initiation in that. Everything cannot be resolved just by an hour kind of a talking. But if something like that happens, I think the purpose is attained. What do you say?
I am honestly speechless. Uh, you are also talking about spreading of knowledge and innovation. Now, another question: does competition make companies more productive and innovative? Does competition force you to become innovative, or is this competition can destroy value?
Unhealthy competition can destroy value. See, if you go to any class, if there's a class of four, five, six people who are competing against each other, and the professors are not playing favorites, that this person is my favorite or something, merit alone operates. I think competition brings out the best in you. We have seen the FIFA Football Cup, right? Small islands. India ranked bloody so long. I keep on using that word, sorry. But India ranked so low. And we have the best of resources and whatnot. So I think competition brings out the best in you. There was a competition between Arjuna and Karan, a professional kind of a competition. It was lovely. I think it brought out the best of both of them. But then again, as I was talking about hero worship or something, why is Krishna alone looking after intrigue? Why are the Pandavas not able to detect the intrigue or the manipulation the Kauravas or Shakuni Mama is doing? What about the succession planning by Pandavas? So I think our mythology needs to be dissected, and the next level of role models need to be brought in mythology, in literature, in movies, in everything we do. We go to a restaurant in US, etc., in Canada. If you have cut the vegetables and not used them, the next day you're supposed to destroy all that and use fresh raw material. And that's the purity, and the inspectors cannot be corrupted or bought. I think the inspector these days is creating havoc in Mumbai and Maharashtra, and my hats off to that person. That he's trying to shake up the system. Many years back, my founder, Dr. Amit Kapoor, and myself, we were driving on the highway and we stopped at a particular restaurant on the outskirts of Delhi. And just like this, I asked the person serving that is the food fresh, and he queried that what day is it? So I said it is Thursday. So he said yes, because if it were Monday, Saturday, Sunday we make a lot of food which is not used, and that same thing is used on Monday. So long as these practices are there, we cannot move on. So I think competition is supposed to check out or throw out the useless things. So that also connects up with the sophistication of demand in Michael Porter's view. Let's look at Japan. The customers, Japan automobile customers, were already demanding. Because of that, the Japanese people, the manufacturers, Toyota, etc., had to make good cars. Now, economy of Japan is, automobile-wise very small and restricted. So they had to globalize sooner or later. And when they went to US, their products were already world class. Why? Because the customer was demanding. And in India, for many years, at least my generation and my parents, we survived on ambassadors. We saw Maruti come in then. We survived on the telephone, black one, handset pick kind of thing, etc. We are not demanding. We're not demanding voters even. I feel it's very sad that a place like Gurgaon, which is the most educated people, who are influential also, who are rich also, who must be connected and have the confidence to go to the MP or MLA or whosoever and question. And Gurgaon, inner Gurgaon, has bad roads. MDI Gurgaon, where I had the privilege of teaching so many good courses, the road across it used to be always having a lot of potholes. And I believe the same contractor was given that contract every 3 6 months in a state of perpetual laying down. Our good highway has 6 layers. Civil engineering says that, so that even a plane can land on it. We're not doing 6 layers. We're probably doing 4 or 5 layers. And because of that, our highways, the NHAI highways also, are at times getting that kind of potholes. The Dehradun highway had that kind of an issue. That was a local issue also of drainage. But I think we need to address this in a 360-degree sense. Uh, I hope it answers.
Examples of companies, industries, or regions where this process of building competitive advantage can be clearly seen.
Sorry, say that again.
Give us some examples of companies, industries, or regions where this process of building competitive advantage is clearly visible.
All right. For instance, one culture example which Michael Porter also studied, that in Sweden, the moment a person is 26 years or something, economy is small, so that person moves to some foreign country and then he studies the system. He's not as bureaucratically managed as a US company would. He is given freedom and he sets up the value chain or production or facility of that particular company out there, a market, develops a market there. That's why Sweden has probably the largest number of MNCs in the world per lakh of population, right? Clusters. Porter also talks about clusters, that individual companies need to have a collaboration or a similar kind of a value chain layout. For instance, in Spain, what happens is whenever there is a cluster of firms, they collaborate or help each other. For instance, there would be one firm which would be making world class needles, and these needles would be bought by 3 4 other companies in that particular area, and they would appoint 2 3 MBAs or graduates to brand that particular area across the world. Say this is made in this part of Spain. In India, what happens, because of tax holiday, some area is marked, and 5 years, 10 years down, when you go there, you find there's one odd pharma firm company, one odd FMCG company, one odd textile company. There's no collaboration. So I think clusters are needed, but that needs a mindset. For instance, Gurgaon has a good cluster of uh, outsourced firms, KPOs in that sense. But the talent availability is there, so that definitely helps them. But do they collaborate? Do they talk with each other? In the coffee shops in US, uh, meaningful things happen. In India, business doesn't use them in that sense. Either people are loners in a Starbucks doing their own work on their laptop or something else, dating, etc. That's also fine, no wrong in that. Uh, a while back, you were talking about entrepreneurship. So, entrepreneurship is a culture in Silicon Valley that my sixth or seventh initiative would be successful. I'm okay for six failures. That's the appetite. In India, some college friends would gather and start something, and if it flops, they'll begin hunting for jobs. So I think it's a mindset thing in that particular sense also. And you look at any Fortune 500 company, you look at Japanese companies or German companies, competitiveness is definitely there. I saw a firm in Germany which is selling these mixers or kitchen kind of appliance. And whereas a mixie in India is selling for 4,000, 9,000, 10,000, he is selling a thing at 80,000, 88,000. And the whole plant is automated. If you visit a Ferrari plant, it's all automated. So now, disguised unemployment at agriculture level, at the firm level, is also there, and apparently we are keeping our people employed and salaried and happy, but we need to take them to the next level. I think about 100 years back, US had 70% people in agriculture. Today, they have 4% people in agriculture. Contribution to GDP is still high. In India, that migration or upskilling of people has to be done. And if that's not going to happen, I think anarchy is going to come in that sense. So, all of us collectively need to work at our firm level, at the community level, at the city level, at the nation level, and then try to bring competitiveness. Do these examples inspire?
The next logical question which follows from your discussions is, what can make an MSME beat an MNC? I think you are suggesting building of a cluster is a very big solution which can help MSME scale up and achieve cost competitiveness as well as innovativeness.
True, but cluster formulation would be a policy thing which a union government or state government or a district government can do. So let's leave that for a while. If I'm an MSME, see, Michael Potter's thought is there can be 1,000 companies in a segment, in some sector, and all of them have their unique differentiations, and so all of them survive, and all of them do well, and all of them sell classy products to the market. So that is possible. So MSME, I wouldn't like to try to compete with an MNC on all counts. Choose the battles, right? Art of War, Sun Tzu book talks of choose the battles. Be smart in that sense. Look at your resources. Within those resources, try to bring a differentiation which nobody else can do. Many years back, I recall my friend and myself and Jagdish Sheth. He's a world top class professor of marketing and a lot of journals, etc. Accept his papers readily, and he's published so much. So he wrote a book, Rule of Three, that in any industry, in any sector, there are three firms which are doing great. Then there are bottom of that hockey stick kind of a thing, and then there are boutique firms which are specialization. So I think that boutique firm kind of a specialization is needed. Uh, so that way you can begin funding innovation in a bigger sense, survive happiness. You go to a food street in Singapore. There's so many restaurants, and all of them are filled, packed, right? Because each has its own differentiation, and so they're not competing on the same thing for the same customers. So I think that's the way out. Within your sector, whether it is automobile or pharma or basic manufacturing, you have to discover what is your sweet spot. Yeah, I'd like to talk about a movement we are trying to organize now. We are reaching out to MSMEs, and through your platform, I'd like to make that appeal. We are asking the owner that please, sir or ma'am, appoint any one person as your innovation officer. He or she can be a young boy just pass out of college, You can give him a salary of 15,000, 20,000. It's okay, whatever is the going rate. Or you appoint some existing staffer and give him or her this role of innovation officer. Now, what's to be done? Every week, you, the founder, should sit with this innovation officer for 20, 30 minutes. This innovation officer is going to give you a lowdown on what kind of innovations in product, in process, in design, or any other sense are happening across the world. And you listen out. You can dismiss all of it. You just listen out. Please give him or her an ear, half an hour, 20 minutes, a week. That's it. I think great changes are going to happen. And on our part, the platform is going to give a feed to all of these innovation officers so they can make a valuable contribution to their firms. Our vision is having, say, 10,000 innovation officers. If it goes beyond that, why not? 30% GDP is coming out of MSMEs. 70% of our workforce is in MSMEs in that sense. And I'm looking at only industry, not the agriculture at all in that sense. 45% of our exports are coming out of MSMEs. I think it's time they own a branded stall in any of the malls. There's so many malls, right? Even if they are B2B, B2C, I firmly believe that even a B2B firm should have a B2C connect. Because when the society in general knows you, values you, that drives up the B2B business. Uh, these are some basic inputs in that sense. But
Next
definitely not
question.
compete on size. Choose your
Inno-
niche.
According to you, innovation creates competitive advantage. But where does innovation begin? With technology, with customer needs, or with an entrepreneur seeking an opportunity, seeing an opportunity that others have missed?
I'll give a very simple answer. Innovation starts with reading. If you're reading a book a day, a book a week, book a fortnight, a book a month, any, if you're not able to read a book, listen to the audio version. If not that, go to Chat GPT, tell that this is a best selling book, give me 10, 21 takeaways from that. Okay, appoint some trainee to make a 15-minute presentation to you. So unless you're a learner in every sense, it is apocryphal knowledge. I don't know for a fact, but what I heard was Mukesh Ambani during the COVID days, while on the treadmill, on a large TV screen facing that treadmill, he got a 15-minute capsule on machine learning and AI. This is COVID days. And he refreshed his knowledge. He didn't have a need for AI. He was not in technology in any sense, but he understood what it is. At his age, it is admirable, right? So our CEOs, our workers, I find in many corporates, newspapers are not subscribed to. Why not? And you try to want to make people work like machines all of the time. Why don't you give them 30, 40 minutes of reading time or discourse time? Every Friday, the HR does engagement, parties, and booze and whatnot. Give a break. I've seen HR people telling trainers that, see, I know my people can't be trained. That's the first disclaimer they give. Second, they say, make them laugh, get a good feedback because you want to get another workshop or not, and try to give a certificate which they can put on the CV. This is a bloody cosmetic level at which our HR is working, which is custodian of the people. I think all of these HR need to be shaken up. People definitely need learning, true learning. You don't need sensationalism. You don't need star speakers, even books, simple kind of discussions, homegrown kind of uh, innovation, insights. Japan has them. Quality circles, what is that? Kaizen is what? Small, small changes, right? In that sense, incremental changes, they lead to quantum big changes. I think that modification is needed. And uh, see, in business, in life, in career, in relationships, always situations will come in. Some situations will always come with a high frequency, some would be critical, some not. Make it a golden rule that Every situation, especially if it's a recurring situation, should be met with in a better frame of mind, with a better response, with some learning from the past, with some documentation from the past learnings. If this happens, we have phenomenally intelligent people, vocal people, and we don't need any big programs or MBAs or PhDs for this. I think we are going to make a great nation that way.
On innovation and consumer psychology. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate, was a psychologist. He said purchases are governed by the consumer psychology, and he was absolutely correct. So, how is consumer psychology linking innovation?
So four C's I said: customer, competition, and context, and the company. Customer, as Gandhiji said, Bhagwan, God. He is the reason for our existence. So customer is a king or queen. And to give something more to the customer is needed all of the time. Peter Drucker also says that every business now and then, every 3, 4 years down, should reinvent or relook at its theory of business. And Peter Drucker is very clean and simple in this sense. What is theory of business? Who is my customer? Was the need unmet? Can I satisfy that need? Or what is my capability? I can find a customer for that capability, either way. So, two pillars done. Then, how am I going to communicate that service or that product from my works to the customer? The flow, the logistics, the supply chain in that particular sense, the delivery. Fourth, what is the price point? And very simple. At that price point, customer should see value. Value is more than the price point. And the producer should see cost is lower than the price point. So that profit comes in. Profit is not a dirty word. Profit is great. Capitalism is great. That's what microeconomics of competitiveness is all about. The firms give salaries, they give good, beautiful products, they make the life happy, they bring prosperity in a true sense. Yes, so firms are to be valued. Uh, and a firm, capitalism, if it is making undue profits, I don't know what is undue profit, but then in dark times, business cycles are there. You still need to give salaries. You can't fire all the people off in that sense. So profits are used, absorbed as a cushion in that sense. Then profits need to be deployed for innovation, upscaling, obsolescence of technology happens, obsolescence of infrastructure happens, the equipment goes bad in that sense. So you always need reinvestment in that sense. So if you are managing this nicely, you don't even need extra credit, I think, in that sense. Uh, Sorry to say, many MSMEs and large businesses use the credit facility in a misuse manner. When they pick the loan, it is not there in their intent to return it, repay it. That's dishonesty, and that doesn't work in the long run. So essentially, you have to see that. See, you could be a 5 crore business, or 50 crore, or 500 crore, or 5,000 crore. The operating system, the architecture, the mindset has to be different. You can't be doing the things the same way as a 5 crore business does and think of becoming a 50 crore business. You can't be doing things the way you do a 50 crore business and think of becoming a 500 crore business. It's like those electrons moving around the nucleus. As a science student, I recall. So there's a orbit shift, quantum shift. You move from the shell K to L to M. So begin doing those jumps. Don't be doing 5%, 10%. So in that sense, a long time back, I made a ship model wherein I said that uh, 70% of your energy resources should be in meeting the industry standards in that sense. 10% of your 20% of your effort should be in trying to get a twice or thrice of return of the industry returns, whatever is considered respectable in that sense. And at least 10% of your resources, time, effort should try to get 1,000 time multiplier. If that happens, you become a WhatsApp suddenly overnight, or just 3, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Similarly, Govind Rajan talks of how to manage time. He says Look at past selectively. What is gone is gone. In matters of heart, you can say heartbreak, gone, gone. Move on, man. So 10% time to whatever is relevant from past, give attention to that. 70% give time to current transactional things, they need attention. And 20% begin giving time to the kind of future you want. And be bold. Think of a future. Think of having, Elon Musk thinks of $1 trillion, $2 trillion kind of a thing, unthought of, and the kind of industry footprints he's doing. There are people who are critical of him. So we can leave that. But the future I want, I have to manufacture it, as Ayn Rand says. That means what I do today will decide the future I get. It's just wishful, dreamy kind of a thinking that I want this future and it's going to happen that day. No, man, it's not going to happen like that. I have to begin doing ABC steps, a checklist, XYZ things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10 things I have to do. And then that future is going to happen. So it's like assembling a Ferrari with all the chassis and the electrical wiring and the engine and security features and everything. And excellence oriented and metrics oriented, a detailed kind of safety features, detailed kind of computers and chips and dashboards. And then you will have a Ferrari. And if you can afford to make a Ferrari at cheaper rate, do that. You'll be the kings. You'll be the emperors. Why not?
Appreciated by many people, but we have overshot our time. And I will just end with one last question. I got some
Yes.
key words, productivity, technology, innovation. Fine, but I want one thought from you on affordability. I'll share just one example. Because of the mad rush for AI model development, price of semiconductor chips have gone up. As a result, hardware prices are going up of laptops, mobile phones, and all that. But is that competitiveness? Affordability should also be a factor, isn't it?
See, business is life. It's like, what kind of girl should I marry? I'm a young graduate, let's say. It's my choice. No government, no family, no society has a role in that. And because of all the youth wanting whosoever they want to marry, all the meshing, all the handshakes are naturally going to happen. No boy is going to be left unmarried, no girl is going to be left unmarried. So, positioning which customer segment I want to cater to is my choice. Leave it to me. And if many people are going for that, I see a clutter, I'll move away. So when I find that people need something, they're dying to get that and they're not getting it, I can be the first provider. Uh, Water, drinking water in that sense. So there's a market for 10 rupee bottle also, there's a market for 50 rupees bottle also, there's a market for 150 rupees bottle also, there's a market for 1500 rupee bottle also. And this is a money I hear she has water which is gold laden or something, which is 5,000 rupees a bottle. Virat Kohli has a bottle which is, I think, 750 or 1500 rupees a bottle. So leave it to people, they'll decide themselves. And whether it's affordability, because see, theory of business is very simple. Who is the customer? My choice. If I'm not able to satisfy, somebody else will. And or what is my capability? So if my passion is, let's say I'm an NGO, okay, I'm not looking for profit, but NGO also, not for profit, should also make profit. It's a piece of the government. Anyway, so if I have a passion, for instance, I have given most of my life to helping or encouraging people to realize their potential. It has happened in many cases. It has not happened in many cases. Some people love me, adore me. Some people hate me. Some people are ambivalent. It's okay. My choice. It's my life. So if I want to be a school teacher in a village or small town near Cuttack, studying Bengali and Odia literature and knowing the local police guy and the judge, my choice. If I want to, if I like late night parties, so I can move to Paris, have a small boutique firm of 10, 15 people, cater to just 4 clients, have late night parties, have the kind of life I want. This is Poon Swaraj. Wherever I am, I have the skills, I have the imagination, and I can do whatever. Long time back, I thought of the concept of 6 billion Bill Gates because that time the population of the world was 6 billion. Now it's 8 billion. So my thought was capitalism talks of everyone growing up, individualism, etc. So once I become Bill Gates, what do I do? I mentor people, I sell my time to some other companies, right? So in that trip of society's evolution, if everybody becomes a Bill Gates, they would be doing the same, having their own entrepreneurship, selling their time to two, three concerns, not going to one single office. This is pre-COVID. This is a visualization I had in 2005 or 7, around that time. That uh, I could be in the Himalayas trekking, doing whatever. Technology helps, phone helps me, laptop helps me to do whatever. Why should I go to one particular office? For learning heutagogy, it's a key word I'll leave with today on that. Self-learning, curricula is mine, objectives are mine, purpose is mine. That is Purn Swaraj. And educate me, sensitize me. I was a young kid in the society, family and society could educate me. This is junk food. This is drugs. Stay off it. Whatever I do is my choice. And Albert Camus or Paul Sartre, existentialism, anyone, anybody wants to be a monk, let him be. What's the problem? Everybody is not going to become a monk. Democratic forces, pluralistic forces will see that somebody or other is a cobbler, somebody or other is a hair saloon owner, somebody or the other is a software person. And that's a beautiful world. Everybody has dignity. And that is heaven, I think.
Sir, excellent answer. Choose your own in vertical. Choose your own customer segment. Now, sir, we have overshot too long. We have to end. A lot of the happy comments have come in. I'll see how we can continue our relationship, our discussions further. Today
Thanks.
I am
Thanks for the questions. Because without your prompts, I wouldn't have said so much. And I think it was a free flow from the heart kind. And
yeah, appreciate the
sometimes,
comments have come on that also. Anyhow, sir, I am ending now.
right, sir. Thank you so much. Bye bye, everyone.